Hey wadau, I'm your host Dr. Kingori, and our guest for this episode is the host. By now, najua mshafikiwa na the video of Ndindi Nyoro, Kiharu MP, talking about money.
That is the question that is almost resonates every time. Nitatoa wapi capital? Na mimi wacha nikuulize, capital ya kufanya nini? Because that is the what you need to answer. All that when you get somebody asking you, nitatoa wapi capital? Hana idea. Because if you have a very well polished idea of a business, believe you me, you'll attract money.
Now, I've started this video by referencing that conversation, that video, that speech by Ndindi Nyoro, because it complements part of the subject, what we want to discuss in this video today. Now, we want to address two issues. Number one, idea is greater than money.
You know, in business education in school, we are told for you to start a business, you must have capital. But that is not the thing. It's not the money first, it's the idea first. The idea would attract the money. So I had the idea, but I didn't have enough money for that. So what did you do? I brought in like-minded people, discuss, and we saw it better to pool resources, and we started well.
And now a few other guests have also hinted at it's never about the money. In fact, there's a common phrase that has been said by people who I would say have tasted financial freedom. It's never about the money. Money is not that important. And sometimes before you taste that kind of freedom, unasemanga, huyu anasema nini bana? Let me taste that money so that I know. Wacha nipeane disclaimer. I can authoritatively confirm that financial freedom is not about so much money. In fact, inasemekana at a certain point, past a certain amount of money, money stops making sense. Any more you get does not add to your happiness levels whatsoever. Hiyo imesemwa na Jonathan Hoyt. That's a conversation for another day. The submission for this video is very simple. One, idea is greater than money. And number two, a special kind of financial freedom. Now, on the first submission, idea is greater than money, right? I'll start with one of my favorite recent examples from one of my favorite peoples in the world, Honorable Kimani Ngonjiri, the former MP of Bahati.
Sasa, let me give you what some people, I have a friend there, my good friend. And he told me when it was yesterday, I called him, I told him, well, I'm very happy I've seen that Homa Bay. Actually, sometimes even it's not better to go in Mombasa. I've seen you have a lake, you have park, and you have tarmac road. It's a good place. I've seen, I met to come here to see. He told me, let me tell you, you come, but you Kikuyus, you are dangerous in business. I asked him why. He told me, a month ago or 2 months ago, Kikuyus went there, na wakachukua nyumba zote lodging with a small price ambaye ilikuwa for that time 2,000. Wakachukua because they knew this thing when it will come, let me take risk. Watu watakosa pahali ya kulala. They went and collected all those houses that were booked. And then no timing is the time when people will come and when it will get finished, wakakomboa lodging zote at 2,000. Do you know how much walikuwa na uza? People going outside and sleeping outside without rooms? 4,000 to 5,000. Can you see? That is people who have business. So he was telling me, he has a hotel. He is called Shibur. Shibur, eh?
Sibur.
Shibur. He was telling me, you guys, you are very smart. I gave all my rooms with 2,000.
So, hii mtu amepiga hesabu anajua. I think this is the president anakuja hapa.
Yes.
Kachora mapema.
Yes. And you saw the crowd which was there. Sasa hiyo ni business tu ya lodging. What about other things? Pengine wale walienda akakomboa pahali akaweka kiosk, akaweka shade ya kuuza vitu. Because we can say the whole country of Kenya, the people who matters wa, na unajua wanafuasi wao. Wana madereva, wana ma security yao. You know. Yes. So sometimes you must have, if you have a gift, you are gifted in business. Sometimes some people who succeed, they succeed very well. But also now I've been saying that the governors who went there, can they learn with the Wanga? Can they hang with maybe like somebody like Kangata?
Now that's example number one, that an idea will always beat money anytime. Unaweza kuwa na idea poa na pesa kidogo, a good idea and very little money, and you can perform miracles. And when you say sometimes people have a problem of too much money, you have too much money but you don't have an idea of how to convert and how to draw value out of it. You understand? Hiyo nilisikia some places inaitwa overcapitalization. Now, let's break it down to one of my favorite ideas of all time. And I've talked about this because it's been ringing in my head from the first time I heard it. An idea that blows the concept, blows the roof when it comes to return on investment. It breaks barriers. You know Gikomba market, very muddy, always, whether it's raining or not, whether the weather is bad or not. So now, this entrepreneur, I call this Entrepreneurial Mind 001. I've been studying that mindset for a long time. So a guy comes and sees how people are suffering to get into the market because of the mud, tiptoeing. Everybody is dancing in the market. And then he sees it as a business opportunity. He went and bought pairs of gumboots, came and sat at the entrance, and then now waited with a bucket of water to probably clean shoes. And the idea is very simple. When shoppers come into the market, you leave him with your shoes so you don't have to muddy your shoes. So he'll wipe the shoes. I will call that a value addition. You take the boots, go shop around. Ukirudi, you take your shoes, wiped clean, and then you return the boots. And I did very simple mathematics. And around that time, the first time I had this idea, I checked the price, the cost of a pair of gumboots was around 600. So let's say he bought 100 pair of gumboots. That was 60,000 shillings, round figure. Doing the math that I did, knowing the traffic that is at Gikomba market, it means that if this guy has 100 pairs of gumboots, gives them 3 times a day, like let's say people, the first round of shoppers in the morning, the second round of shoppers at noon, midday, and then in the evening, right? That's, he makes 5,000 for one trip at 50 bob, then it's 15,000 if he does 3 tips. 15,000 shillings from 60,000. That's assuming he started with 100 pairs of gumboots. Wale watu wa mathematics, hebu fanya hesabu ukiangalia return on investment on that. There are a few disadvantages we can discuss of this business, kama barrier of entry. The next time someone comes, ananunua lori ya gumboots. Politicians have a habit of doing that. And interestingly, when I shared this idea with one of our favorite people on the platform, Pia Dan Oguma, akakuja dispute your idea, alinchekesha sana. People just take his boots like mara tatu. He has made 15,000.
Na ukumbuke pia the next day an aspiring governor might come and tamag the place as a campaign strategy. So with that, ideally this guy this guy shall have lost 60,000 without making a single coin.
Now, example number 2, 2019, I decided to diversify. At that time, niko kwa TV and I'm thinking now, beyond the salary, do something different. And now, nasikia transport business inaniita. So I decided to try my hand in VIP transport. Now, I would not say this, I would not share this information, but it's relevant to this particular video. So I found myself in my investment, I bought 2 vehicles, Mercedes-Benz E250, the 212. Model 1 ya 2010 na ingine ya 2012. So I had 2, then with the projections, the business was very good on paper. The projections nini. That story of your business is a story for another day. I'll give you, I've mentioned that specifically because I want to share an incident that actually still rings in my mind about the power of an idea. So one time, there's no business. Nasi ujaluo, kitu tu imenishika, I decided to take one of the vehicles for a trip to Elementaita. A friend of mine akona resort pale Elementaita, and it was Savile Lodge. If you use the Nairobi-Nakuru route, utaiona, inaitwa Dr. Njogu. So I'm going to see Dr. Njogu with my friend Cliff. So I used the 2012 model. Na nimesema disclaimer, sio ujaluo, and this story is very relevant. I would not have mentioned it if it wasn't relevant. So we are driving to Naivasha, and then something pops up. a warning error. Sikuwa nimewahi kuwa na problem ya gari kustall, but then this time round ilitoa ka battery, like a red battery pops up. And I was like, I've had a problem na battery kwa ile gari ingine, but it wasn't the battery, ilikuwa the alternator. So I'm really crossing my fingers. I hope this is not the alternator. In fact, I was so quick to buy the battery. Unaona ile unasolvingi problem yenye haiko because you hope it is the cheaper problem. So I thought it's the battery and I insisted it's the battery, alafu nikaongeza na imani fake. So we drive into a shop ya battery, we bought another battery, tukaweka, the light went off. I was like, wow, that's good vibes. Miracle happened. Crossing fingers actually works. So we actually even left the original car battery hapo kwa shop, tuliambia, what are we even going to do with it? So we drove from Naivasha to Elementaita. Tulilala. The next morning, I'm very quick kwenda kuangalia kama the car is fine ni nini. Guess what? The warning battery comes up. So the problem was not the battery, it's the alternator. So now that's establishment of the problem. In fact, I called the battery shop. They were gracious enough to return the battery. Very nice. So now inamaanisha tunafaa kukuwa na alternator, but si we assume German machine gari, si once umeshagurumisha itaenda as long as imekubali kuguruma. And we kafika Naivasha pale somewhere, there's a petrol station ya Gulf. The vehicle stalled, started shaking kwa barabara like hiyo ku vibrate, tukasonga kando ya barabara, stalled. I had a meeting in Nairobi at 5 p.m. on that day. Gari inataka kustall and I'm looking at the options. Now, here's where the idea comes, the power of an idea. So I have a similar vehicle back in Nairobi. So idea number one on how to get that car to Nairobi is get the mechanic. It was on a Sunday. It was on a Sunday, so we couldn't buy the part. So what's the option? Get the mechanic. My mechanic was flexible. Aende to my place, atoe alternator kwa gari yenye iko. He brings the alternator and then aitoe kwa hii gari so that we can drive back. That's idea number one. Okay? Bad idea. We lose time. And I lose money because of the meeting I was going for at 5 p.m. is very important. So, okay, sawa. Number two, flatbed. Then mimi nijipange how I get to Nairobi. Then my friend Cliff atajipanga vile atafika na gari. So idea number two, flatbed, I get a quotation. I think they gave us a quote of around 35,000 or thereabout. Okay, that's idea number two. Idea number three, which I didn't like, was we get a mechanic who specializes on German machines from Naivasha, akuja tutengeneze gari, then we leave. And that seemed plausible. So I started calling my contacts, mtu anipatie a mechanic who can fix the car from Naivasha. We'll lose probably an hour, alafu turudi. Tufike Nairobi. So we try that, but niko shingo upande. I don't like that idea very much. So we decided to settle with that. But niko shingo upande sana because the mechanic came, akasema they will check first kama ni the alternator brushes. They know kuna vitu wanaweza fanya kidogo. I don't have to buy an alternator turudi Nairobi. Now, when all these options, the option that we took, the mechanic fixing the car in Naivasha, seems very, very plausible, risky, lakini. In fact, the risk would be we could actually lose the car. Because what if the guy is not a specialist? Because mimi sijai muona, but he came. As he's disassembling the car, another guy drives in. I remember his name to date. Anaitwa Kemari. Whichever the pronunciation. Watu wa Naivasha mnajua kama kuna make wa German machine anaitwa Kemari, shout out to him. So now Kemari drives in na a Volkswagen Golf. He was bringing something to this other mechanic. Then tukamwambia hiyo shughuli, said hi nini, tukamwambia hizo shughuli nini may happen, and then he pulls me aside and ananiambia, I have an idea and my idea will cost you. So now mimi nimeangalia hizi options. First of all, I don't know how much this mechanic atani charge. I'm sure in a play in the tens of thousands. Every idea on the table at this moment ni tens of thousands. And if I don't get to Nairobi by 5 by the Kufala, I may lose some money. So what happens is Kimari comes ananiambia idea yake na kwanza apeani kwanza tumlipe, akasema tumlipe atupea idea. Kwanza unataka how much? He said 5,000 shillings. 5,000 bob. So 5,000 bob kwa all the options on the table, that's a steal, that's a good deal. Because the overall objective ni the car itoke from Naivasha, ifike Nairobi, and we don't lose time. I gave Kimari 5,000 shillings. And then the idea was very simple. Very simple. Kimari told us he has a battery. Okay? First of all, he told us achukue battery ya gari yenye tulikuwa nayo that had stalled. Okay? Aweke kwa gari yake, acharge mpaka Limuru, which is halfway to Nairobi, almost halfway, thereabout. Akisha charge, tukifika Limuru, right, we will exchange batteries. Ours will have charged, na yake itakuwa imetufikisha Limuru, alafu sisi we continue with the journey. Of all the ideas, tulifika Nairobi at an extra cost of 5,000 shillings. I don't know kama this will be replicated to anyone else, but based on the options on the table, an idea cost us a small amount of money compared to all the options tulikuwa nazo kwa meza, and we got a good deal. The cheapest option by the way tulikuwa now was 30,000. And guess what? We got to Nairobi and I made it to the meeting, and to be honest, hiyo deal yenye tulikuwa tuna chase, we got it. Na the beauty is, I don't know kama we would have gotten the meeting again, but ili to close here, we closed upwards of 350,000 net from the meeting. So now, to date, I always interpret that as the power of an idea. First of all, being open-minded to listen, and when you're presented with a challenge, you think the first thought inakujanga ni, sawa, what are the options on the table? Then I settle on the best one. Now, agenda number 2, a special kind of financial freedom. Unajua, kuna mahali in this video nimesema, financial freedom is not necessarily having too much money. Nope. In fact, kuna different kinds of financial freedom. Kuna financial freedom kama ya Abdinur Ali Mahdi.
I know some people used to save 20,000 every month. Mshahara kiingia tu
20.
Mimi mshahara kiingia anaanza na pizza. The first week nakula vizuri. And this guy the first week anakula kama kuku. Mimi namaliza naenda movies nakula. Alafu Abdi, why don't you save? You have to.
So now, if you didn't get a chance to watch the episode, you can catch it on the link, on a link tumeshare hapa chini. But also, if you had a chance to watch it. Watch it. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana for being part of a milestone, 1 million views. Kwanza Abdinu recently set up kabash kidogo ya kujibamba na kucelebrate how that was done in a free spirit and the support we've gotten from you. So Abdinur alifanya ni meet a gentleman anaitwa Abdi Hakim. So kuna financial freedom ile ya Abdinur in that episode, and then Abdi Hakim kwanza alimake do yeye kwa hii video ina play hapa, alimake a very interesting comment. Alisema yeye he's not worried about tomorrow ati inamshtua. In fact, ati yeye he starts a business when he's in a problem. Like yeye akipata shida, akipata ngori ndio anjembe ni biashara gani naweza fanya sasa ini toke kwa hii ngori. It's a very interesting. I hope we one day get a chance ya kumweka kwa kamera kama ni mtu wa kamera. I forgot to ask him. Na that's a question I always ask every interesting person I meet. So now, a special kind of financial freedom inamaanisha in the most basic terms, you're not controlled by money. Unajua sometimes we are misled on the idea of what does having money mean. You understand? So we confuse that for over accumulation. So now the example I want to give for this, another gentleman who challenged my mind. I have a friend, anaitwa Caleb, he's an architect. He introduces me to Kenyan of German descent, anaitwa Andreas. Very big investor in real estate, especially Malindi, Diani. So one time he's built, one time tunapiga story, and I asked him, because we were discussing return on investment na value. One of his properties alikuwa amebuild for, I think it's between 16 to 24 million. That was the investment. Ile pesa alikuwa ameweka. But the idea came, ikawak in a very interesting way, that people were offering him money to the tune of over double what he had invested. In fact, at the time when we were speaking, he had received offers that up to 52 million. Then I was like, umepewa at that time. Ilikuwa kitambo. Akili iko imefunguka kama sai. Someone offered him 52 million. Na ukakataa. Akasema hey. And he wasn't even shaken. Akasema hey, And then the statement he made next is what caught my attention kabisa. He was like, what am I going to do with the money? That hit me hard because sometimes sisi tunakuanga before you open your mind to the level of awareness and a special relationship with money, you want to just have money. You can even sell anything you have. Kuna wasi wako hivyo. But for him to say, what am I going to do with the money? That statement rang very deep in my head. And now I started investigating in my own way. What does financial freedom mean? Who's the kind of person who says no to money? At a certain level, mtu akikuuliza, can you say to money? What does it take to say no to money? If you want to know the answer of that question, enda kwa zile posts za Twitter zenye watu wanaulizanga, would you slap your father for 2 million shillings? Watu wanasemanga nini huko chini? You will see how far people would be willing to get money. But now here's someone who says, what am I going to do with the money? I think that's a special kind of financial freedom. Knowing, as in unajitambua mpaka your decisions are not influenced by money at all. For me, that's the ultimate level of financial freedom. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about status, you identify as a millionaire, I'm a billionaire. It's a special kind of financial freedom. Now, I give movie references a lot. One of my favorite series of all time, and kama umejipata on this episode, ama you are a consumer of content on our platform, there is no way you have not watched Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul is a spin-off Breaking Bad. One person who I know has a special relationship with money is the character Mike Ehrmantraut. Not once have I seen across the episodes in the seasons, when I pay close attention to Mike Ehrmantraut says no to money on principle.
You sent back the payment we agreed upon.
What I didn't do for you.
If I may make an observation, perhaps you are trying to correct something which cannot be corrected.
It's not the kind of thing I want to take money for.
I can give examples of very many scenes za Mike Ehrmantraut saying no to money. Mpaka unajiuliza. Kama this particular one, where he says no to money and he refuses to take a gig for money, but he later changes his mind, takes the gig, but it's not for the money.
I want to hire you again.
Do what now?
Hire you as my backup man. Same terms as before. I don't want to make the same mistake as last time.
You don't want to make the same mistake, then don't get involved with whatever it is you're getting involved with.
Fine, 3,000. I'll give you 3,000.
I'm not interested, and you find a way out of it.
But
Not interested.
Kwa wale wamewatch Better Call Saul, yani I could give you scenes and scenes, and probably this brings back memories za incidences ama instances where Mike rejected money outrightly. Mpaka unajiuliza, when you're watching and you've not unlocked your mind to the levels that you understand what relationship with money is, unashindwa anakataaje pesa.
Once Salamanca is dealt with, and he will be dealt with, construction will resume. Until then, you will continue to be paid.
So you're gonna pay me to do nothing.
Call it a retainer.
You keep your goddamn retainer.
And we can go on and on. Na sasa juu ya hiyo story, what do you think financial freedom is? Hiyo ndio submission yangu. What is your relationship with money? Do you think financial freedom ni millionaire ama ni billionaire? Ama kiukweli my submission makes sense? I'm your host, Dr. Kingori. I'll see you on the next one.